We have our next presenter ready. Our next presenter is Peter Yang, and he's going to talk about web-assisted German reading. Peter?
Hi, I'm teaching German and Chinese. Today's talk is about teaching German. And it is about teaching intermediate German, second year. And the course comes with two textbooks. One is reading, the other is grammar. And I found that these two books are very good, but it is somehow lacking in terms of homework. It does not give students a lot of assignments to do. And it also sometimes is too complex with reading materials. So I decided to do something to correct this mistake. And today's talk will be in 3 steps. First, I will give you an introduction, the overview of what I'm doing and how it works. And secondly, I will show you examples of grammar and reading. As you can see from this slide, it has 2 components, and grammar learning and reading skills. In each component, it contains 2 components again, and one is an online tutorial, the other is online self-test. And I think this is a very simple idea, but it works very well for my class. And I taught several classes, and it works much better than without this. Before I taught this class also, students were reluctant, and they complained a lot about too much content involved. And when it is tested, they complain that it is too involved. But once you have a very structured online tutorial and self-test, they are much, much better prepared. And very interestingly, these materials cannot be only used as homework assignments, and they can also be used in class. Whenever you see some problems, you can immediately show the slides and so the student can focus on something they missed. And these materials are on the web, so students can access them anytime, anywhere, whenever they have a connected computer, web network connected computer. It is also course schedule guided. So students miss something, they can quickly go to the course schedule online, and they can click on individual links, and they can get these assignments done online. And it is also combined with Blackboard environment. And the Blackboard environment is important in terms of class management, because you want to record something. That is very important for the record. And I also use Blackboard for discussion, and that works very well also for reading materials and the testing for scores. As I explained at the beginning, there are 2 components, grammar. And the grammar part has a tutorial, self-tests, and grammar tests. And similarly, enhanced reading skill component has also all texts annotated. And as I explained, in a textbook, these texts are very long, and there is no explanation. And there are wonderful activities afterwards, but without basic understanding of these texts, the student cannot work very well on the individual activities in class. And in class, if you don't have this kind of a preparation for student, it will have a lot of silent moments. Then you have to fill in. And the instructor is the center of the teaching. And the students are not involved. But once they are prepared, you can ask them to do anything because they are already well prepared. They have a basic understanding. You can teach them to explore more on the points they don't understand. And that is very cool. And self-tests are very important. I will explain that later. And there are also comprehension tests that is normally done on paper and pen basics. But that's because our environment is not fully electronic yet. Because what I would like to see is that we have electronic classrooms where students can sit in on each computer, and they can log in, they can do things on computer, but that is not ready yet. This is something I think our university has to work on. And yeah, I already explained a little bit about reading, and all these words are clickable. The students don't have to look into dictionary, and that is very important for our students because our students are not major in German, they are major in other fields. So they are very, very busy. Sometimes they have 20 credit hours, and they work day and night, and for them, German is an additional requirement they probably have to meet. But because they are very busy, they don't have time to look into dictionary for individual words. And sometimes, even if they look into dictionary, they locate wrong explanations, and it is not intended for the reading here. And all these problems can be solved with what I have created. It is very accurate, and so students can understand the individual words in the context of the text. It is very time-saving for them. And as I said, it prepared them for tutorial and self-tests. It prepared them for class activities. And in grammar, at the second year, students have already basic understanding of German grammar rules, but they have deficiency in certain fields. In the second year, the purpose of the grammar book is to allow them to make up these deficiencies. And but the grammar book is too systematic because it explained A to B to C everything. So it is not very good for students to have an overview if they miss something. So what I have done is to have tables of very important points for each chapter. Before each chapter is covered, I explain the important rules in the form of a table. Students can have an overview. So they work on these rules, and in class, if they still have a problem, I can refer to these tables. And I also make sense of grammar. Sometimes grammar rules are so dispersed, and so it is very important to explain them in a very easy way so that students can very quickly memorize and quickly retain these grammar rules. And I will explain that later, and it's very interesting. I can show you. And yeah, self-tests. Self-tests are very important because in a traditional textbook-based class, and students do a lot of homework assignments, and they can hardly retain a lot of things because of time pressure. But if you have an interactive self-tests, and the student can quickly notice what is wrong, and they can fix the problems right away. And I did some literature review. I found that is a very good way to go for students to learn. It helps students to retain what they have learned, because they immediately correct mistakes. And if you hand in homework, and the instructor has to spend a lot of time to correct mistakes, and he or she cannot return this homework right away. And by the time the student receives the homework, it is about time to take a test. And the student don't have time to return these mistakes, correct these mistakes. And it is not good for students at all to learn foreign language. So interactive online self-test correct this mistake and allow students to, or encourage the student to correct mistakes. What I have done is to allow students to submit a perfect score, 100%. And I said, this is homework, this is not test. Yeah, you are free to correct mistakes, and they persist on this also. They think that this is very important. And this changes student behavior of doing homework. In the past, they just fulfill the requirement. They submit something that is not good at all. And I finished homework. And now they want to have 100% correctness. And okay, I skip all this. I think you already got my point. And now I'm talking about the impact. It totally changed the classroom activities, and the students are much, much better prepared. But sometimes there are also students who have problems. But with self-test, you can discern what students have problem, what problems do they have. And in class, you can be more focused on this student. And you can explain these remaining problems instead of covering everything in class. And that is very time-consuming and effective. And basically, if you explain that pedagogically, it enhances the interaction between students and the learning materials, and the interaction between students and instructor. And all sides are well informed. Instead of blindly teaching something students probably already know very well, or miss something that students don't know at all. And that fills this information gap. And as a result, students learn much better than before. Without these materials, online materials, students complain a lot. But now they scored very high, and they are very happy. It also saved a lot of time in class. We can do some fun activities also. I will show you later. Okay, this is overview. Now allow me to show you some examples. And this is what I explained at the beginning. It is a syllabus, and you can click on individual items, and it contains homework and tutorial and self-tests. And it does not directly link to Blackboard, because the Blackboard is protected. You have to log in. But it gives you the link to the Blackboard activities also. And this is one example. And teach plural endings of German nouns is a big task. There are so many different nouns and so many different plural endings. And I created this table. It works very well because I put all three genders in a table, and it applies to the individual groups. As you can see, one group has the plural ending E or umlaut E, and the other has ending ER and the umlaut ER, and sometimes there is a missing gender, and this gives students very good impression of what the ending is supposed to be. And I told the student this is very important, and if you learn this in the future, you can have an educated guess of every word you don't know in the future. You can know immediately what the ending could be, because and there are not many different rules. And if you have singular ending like this, and there are only two possibilities, basically for three different genders. One is for masculine and neuter, and the other is for feminine. And for feminine, you have the additional end, but for other things, you don't have any additional ending. And this table works very nice. Based on this, students can take self-test, and they can try out. And this table is exactly the replication of what we have had before. And students can take this test and practice a little bit. Then there is another self-test, and this table does not give you all the arrangement, and it is more challenging. Students have to use the knowledge they have acquired and do more work individually here. And here, you have to tell the genders also, because you learned this ending could happen only for these particular genders, and here they have to provide a gender also, plus the plural ending. And I would like to explain that a little bit. Before, when I did not have this, a student will not do this homework at all, because it's so complex. There are so many words involved for one chapter. And this allows students to learn these words. And when I have the test, 99% of the students did not have problem at all. And that was unthinkable if you don't have this tool for students to do this kind of test. And before, even if you have the table, the test in the table format, students will complain. You probably expect us to too much for one chapter, but this is totally changed the student behavior and performance. And this is a very telling story here. And the other thing is case endings. As you know, probably not know, there are 4 different cases in German. One is subject, the other is object, direct object, indirect object, and then they're possessive. And students have a lot of problems on these different cases at the second year level, because this concept is lacking. It does not exist in English. So I made sense of this, and I said, if it is subject, all the endings supposed to be razor. A razor, you can refer to rose, yeah. And if it is subject, object, then I say it is a nasal case because all these are endings. And nasal is the nose. So they can remember this very quickly. And I said if there is an indirect object is mostly for people. So I said this is a Mr. Man. Mr. Man, instead of Mr. Man, is Mr. Man case. And Mr. You can see man is German word, man is the English word. And so they have to, they know the ending, additional requirement of N immediately. Okay, and this is the table of all these different cases. And then based on that, students take self-test. Self-test is in a contextualized environment, and each sentence has subject, object, indirect object, and possessive case. And they can use knowledge already acquired. It is not too demanding. If you know razor, nasal, and Mr. Man, and stra, and they can fill in blanks very easily. And as I said, these kind of things are very confusing without this tutorial. But because it makes the sense, and the student can learn this very quickly and retain them also for their future. And now I'm going to explain what I have done for reading. I created a discussion board for the class, and the student discuss first what they have learned. And this is a discussion they had. And that is very important because through this discussion, they can help each other. If one student does not understand something, the other student can fill in, explain that probably means something like that. Okay? And it also tells me what the students could probably still have problem on. I'm informed also. And okay. I missed this at the beginning. This is a first step. And as I explained before, all texts are annotated, all the words. Student can get explanation right here. Can you see that? Yeah. If they don't understand something is new for the text, for the understanding, very important for the understanding of the text. And they can just click. And sometimes there is an argument. Some teacher will say students should have the ability to look up in the dictionary. And sometimes people will say, you probably annotate too many words. Probably you don't have to annotate so many words. Students have to guess. I say that because students don't have enough time, they don't look up in the dictionary anyway. If you give them the tool, they will probably learn better. Secondly, you annotate a lot of words, and it is to accommodate all students' needs, not just one particular student need. And if a fast student thinks that so many words are not necessary, he or she can just click on one or two words that he or she does not know. And that is optional for students. But the environment is there, student becomes them centered. They can pick and choose the words they need. And with that basic understanding, student can take self-test. In this self-test, if you do something wrong, it tells you, no, that is not correct. It does not tell you what is correct, but it does not it tells you what is not correct. So student can try again and again. There's no limitation of how many times they try. But this is a learning, and they can interact with the material. Based on the tutorial, they can take self-test. And then they can also discuss. And this is designed for test. And in my class, I don't ask students to take very difficult tests. I think basic understanding is enough. So I ask them to learn a lot, but the score supposed to be, the final score is supposed to be good for them. But I put a lot of emphasis on learning procedure, learning process. And this is used both as a homework and classroom discussion. It is much, much more complex. And students will have difficulty when they do homework. But I use the material in class also. We discuss individually one point to the other. And that helps the student to understand. And even if they don't understand something, and the class discussion will solve the problem. And at the end, most of the students told me that that solved more than 90% problems. Okay, because students are prepared and they can learn much better, and the performance is also much better, and we have a lot of time in class, and so I still have time for students, so I also use other materials, multimedia materials, for example, sounds. And this is one example. Here, I have text. And the student can learn. We can discuss, and they can also sing along with the singer, and that enrich the classroom environment. They like this song very much, by the way. Thank you. Welcome very much. Okay. Questions? Any questions? Yes.
I'm going to go see if there's any questions second that.
Yes.
When you do the annotation of the words with little dictionary things, have you also thought about putting the audio pronunciation in there too, or is that too much?
Yes, I think this is a very good idea. But it is too much for me as an instructor. I don't have time, I don't have the funding to do so. But I think this is a very important aspect also. And I would put this kind of information, multimedia information in there. But I put some pictures there because for some words, word explanation are not enough. So you have to illustrate what the word means. And this is something I have already done, but I would like to have more multimedia information. This is what I think important.
Here's a question I would like to ask: how you create a self-task page, and also how you integrate with Blackboard, just generally how you create this material.
Yes, I think this is a very important issue. First, I created self-test first using hot potatoes. And I think hot potatoes has a lot of functions you can use for self-tests. And, but it has also some problem. It it cannot be incorporated in Blackboard. This is one big complaint I have. I tried this also using SCORM, but what SCORM does, it does not record the results. It does not show the student mistakes. So the instructor still is blind. It does not, he or she does not know what is going wrong with the student assignment. And then I used Blackboard. Blackboard self-test tool works very well, but it has a very big limitation. It only creates some multiple choice assignment. And so it does not create, for example, filling blanks. It does not create other assignments. I think if you want to use Blackboard, that's the limitation you have to live with.
There's another question from Second Life. Have you ever considered to connect with the German group in Second Life in terms of German education?
Sure, I would like to do that, but I tried to log in, had a problem of logging. That's my problem. Okay, thank you.